Welcome to Cycling Australia's coverage of the National Road Series. It's round 3, the Tour of the Great South Coast, brought to you by Campolina and Visit Victoria. It's the final stage criterium here in the town of Portland, Victoria's very first settlement. I'll tell you what, the weather has been up and down all week, and the roads at the moment are a little bit damp, which will make this 30-lap criterium very treacherous. Now, the overall race lead is being held by Aidan Tuvey. He's been putting in a fantastic performance all throughout the week. And Aidan, you come into this final criterium with a handy buffer of 39 seconds over Raphael Feinstein, but there are a lot of sprint bonuses on offer. What's going to happen?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I said, a lot of sprint bonuses out there, so I'll just see if we can't pick up a few and then sort of try and hold that lead, and then hopefully no big gaps sort of form at the end. But yeah, looking forward to it.
It's all about staying upright too, isn't it? Because we know that turn 2 on this course is always very treacherous. A lot of riders go down in the past. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen this time.
Yeah, definitely. I've done a few laps down there, and yeah, I think in the passing when riders hit it at speed, just all it takes is a little bit of miscalculation, and that's all it takes to come undone.
Well, the man that's chasing you, although he is 39 seconds behind, which is a handy buffer, that's for sure, is from Inform make Raphael Feinstein, our German import. Now, you know this course. You've ridden very well here in the past in the National Road Series. What's the go? You're going to chase Tuvey for the overall win, or the guy that's beside you, Nick White, who's only 1 second behind you? What's the tactics?
We always race to win, so we hope for aggressive race. And yeah, what you said, it's 11 sprints, intermediate sprints, so there's a lot of time bonuses. And in this crit, a lot can happen, so we definitely go out there and smash it.
Now, in the overall National Road Series, you still have the lead, but you're equal on points at this point with this final criterium still to come. You need to win this to hold on to the overall race lead.
Yeah, we give our best, and it is just the second tour in the series, so there are multiple other races to come, and even if I have to give up the jersey, I'll try to come back and win it back.
Yeah, well, good luck today anyway. It's going to be trying and testing conditions, but he's very good in terms of bike handling skills, so the wet roads will actually suit Raph Feinstein. Good luck to you. 1 second behind Raph, sitting in 3rd place overall. You've taken out the King of the Mountains jersey, which is what you're wearing now, so there's no hills on the stage today, so that's all sorted. But Nick White, you're only 20. You are bursting onto the scene with sensational form this year.
Yeah, no, it's been good. I've just got back from a European block, so I think that's helped me a lot, and just trying to carry as much form from that as I can and see what happens.
Well, good luck today. 1 second on Raphael Feinstein. It's just going to be a sprint fest, is it?
Yeah, well, I think that's the plan. I've only got Welsford as well, 8 seconds back, and we all know he's quite a handy sprinter, so yeah, it'll be a close match, I think, and yeah, we'll see what happens, but I'm looking forward to it, and it'll be an aggressive race.
It certainly will be aggressive. Good luck to you, Nick. And yes, Sam Welsford, the Commonwealth gold medalist from this year in Brisbane and on the Gold Coast, is sitting in 4th place overall, and his sprinting expertise is extraordinary. So he may be chasing these guys from behind to try and finish on the podium. What's going to happen today? Well, so much is going to happen. It's going to be very exciting, so let's have a look at it. The overall classification, 39 seconds, Raphael Feinstein behind Aidan Tuvey, so it looks certainly as if it is a handy buffer, but there's so much can happen in this final stage. 40 seconds is Nick White, so very close between 2nd and 3rd. And Sam Welsford, who has proven himself to be perhaps the most powerful of the sprinters here at 48 seconds, so perhaps he'll be chasing some time bonuses throughout the stage as well. 3, 2 and 1 seconds up for grabs for all the intermediate sprints along the way. Every 2 laps they are, after 26 laps to go, down to 6 laps to go, and then 10, 6 and 4 seconds available on the final sprint. Welsford may go for that one indeed. And this is just down the back straight. We're about 7 or 8 laps in. We have had 2 of the intermediate sprints so far. The first one was picked up by Raphael Feinstein's teammate, the youngster Carter Turnbull, riding for Inform Make. And Nick Simpson from AMR Renault, the Bendigo boy, was in 2nd place. Daniel Luke 3rd there. So none of the big contenders going for the first of the intermediate sprints. And then the second time they came round, though, it was Raph Feinstein ahead of Nick White and then Aidan Tuvey. So 1st, 2nd and 3rd in the overall classifications, picking up time bonuses in the 2nd of the intermediate sprints. So that will give Raph Feinstein an extra 2nd advantage over 3rd place Nick White after that 2nd intermediate. You can see the conditions here, very trying. While the weather has been very much up and down throughout the week, it has a bit of blue sky here today, but the rains came down just at the very start, just to dampen the roads and make them slippery for the riders. So testing conditions for the riders in the National Road Series. Stage 6 of the Campolina Visit Victoria Tour of the Great South Coast. 5 days of racing, 2 stages on the first day and then 1 stage per day since then. And now finishing here in the town of Portland. Riders really starting to struggle now. Been a long and hard week. The crosswinds and the rain, hail on yesterday's stage as well at, around Cape Bridgewater. It's a really testing conditions. You see just the beautiful conditions here in Portland when the sun's out and warms up a little bit. Certainly a very, very nice part of Victoria. This is the corner, the second turn on the circuit that has been the most dangerous in previous years. There seems to always be a crash or two in every other edition of the race. Hopefully they'll get round today. Wet roads increasing the danger even more so. And you can see the Constantina effect, the riders that are too far back in the peloton having to sprint full gas out of that corner to try and get back up into speed and into the peloton. Handy camera work on that corner there by one of the riders in Alex Smythe was unfortunately pulled out of the race yesterday. He's had good form earlier in the year, riding for the Drapac EF Cannondale team. And we put him to work, put him on one of the cameras on turn 2, so he gets to see all the action and film it for us as well. Now the red jersey, that's the King of the Mountain winner. There are no hills on today's stage, so that's Nick White in 3rd place overall. But he's taken out the King of the Mountain competition for the Tour of the Great South Coast, and he's chasing time bonus sprints. He's trying to get back into 2nd place. He was in 2nd place a couple of days ago, then Raf Feinstein leapfrogged him once again. And another of the intermediate sprints. Feinstein in the blue just going through. So Nick White getting back one more second on Feinstein. So the race for 2nd place overall, certainly very hotly contested between Nick White from Oliver's Real Food Racing and Raphael Feinstein from Inform Make. Haven't seen much of Sam Welsford just yet. I think he may have conceded the 3rd place overall. He's looking perhaps just for that stage win, not worrying about the intermediate sprints and trying to defend or move up from 4th place. Just wants that stage win to back up the stage 3 victory he had at Port Macdonald. Hasn't rained for a few minutes now. Hopefully it'll warm up a little bit just to dry off these roads slightly, but you can see still very slippery. Group now forming off the front, and that's with 2nd and 3rd place in the overall classifications, and immediately the Benelong Swiss Wellness team come to the front. They've seen the danger of the 2 riders sitting behind Tuvi in the overall classification, just nipping off the front there. Kind of unintentional though. They only went for that last time bonus sprint. And there's a little bit of a gap that had formed, so they tried to go on with it. But the strength of the Benelong Swiss Wellness team, you would imagine, will be able to bring this gap back down. .30 laps of a 1.6 kilometre circuit, 48 kilometres in total for this final stage. And the gap is still there. Peloton being controlled though by Benelong Swiss Wellness. It's one of the Brisbane Continental riders on the front, Rabble.com, new naming right sponsor for that team. And that team itself was sitting 2nd in the overall National Road Series. Raphael Feinstein, the individual leader of the National Road Series, coming into the Tour of the Great South Coast. Whistle for another intermediate sprint, so the next time around, 3, 2 and 1 seconds on offer once more. But the gap is slowly coming back down. Raf Feinstein coming into this final criterium is equal on points in the National Road Series overall standings with Aidan Tuvey. Tuvey, of course, won the last round, the Battle Recharge 3-day tour in the Tweed Valley, and picking up stage 2 here and now leading. If Raf Feinstein is to stay in the National Road Series lead, he needs to win this final criterium. 2nd place or less, and Aidan Tuvey will be the new leader of the National Road Series. That group now being reabsorbed. Benelong Swiss Wellness team bringing that back together. Such a strong team. They really have been dominant. Aiden Tuvey has the support of the strongest team in the National Road Series. So many contenders themselves within the race. Michael Freeberg, his teammate, won stage 1. Tristan Ward was in the mix as well, finishing second. So first and second for Benelong Swiss Wellness in the opening stage. Aiden Tuvey then went on to win stage 2 with a handy little gap back to the main field. That was around the Blue Lake in Mount Gambier. Very beautiful stage of the National Road Series around Blue Lake. Stage 3, as I mentioned, was won by Sam Welsford. Nick White was in second place there. It's the 20-year-old from Oliver's Real Food Racing, really showing himself this season. And they come around this last corner, tricky final corner, slightly uphill, switch back, and then a pure sprint up to the line. 3, 2 and 1 seconds on offer yet again. That's one of the ACA Academy riders, and it is Sam Welsford. So we haven't seen him to this point. He's been tucked away in the peloton. Another 3-second bonus there for Sam Welsford. A rider that would be the hot favourite for the final stage win today. Using up a little bit of energy now going for the intermediate sprints. So another 2 laps, there'll be another time bonus sprint. And while we've got the opportunity, pace has come off a little bit, we can have a look at a recap of the individual rankings for the National Road Series. This is after round 2, which was the Battle Recharge, the race won by Aiden Tuvey. That got him up into second place overall, 30 seconds behind Raphael Freinstein. Now with the stage bonuses on offer here, that's put Tuvey on equal points with Raf at this stage of the Tour of the Great South Coast. So it's all going to come down to the final sprint. The overall team's classification, as we've seen them so often in the past, on top of the table. Benelong Swiss Wellness, in all their different names over the years, they really have dominated the National Road Series. But the Brisbane Continental team picking up Rabble.com as their naming right sponsors, still sitting in second place. Inform Make, that's the team of Raphael Freinstein in third, and Oliver's Real Food Racing. 125 points, sitting in fourth place. That's who Nick White rides for. He's in third place overall at the Tour of the Great South Coast, though there may be a reshuffling of the team's points by the end of this tour. No doubt Benelong Swiss Wellness will stay up on top, though. The overall buffer for this tour lead that Aiden Tuvey has, you would think, barring some kind of accident, should be enough for him to hold on for the overall classification. So 4 intermediate sprints we've had so far. Carter Turnbull took out the first one, Ralph Freinstein the second, Cameron Scott, Sam Welsford's teammate from the Australian Cycling Academy, he picked up the third, and then the last one we just saw, Sam Welsford ahead of Raphael Freinstein and Nicholas White in third. So Freinstein and White really prominent in these intermediate sprints. There was only 1 second between them coming into this final stage on the overall classification. That's Rolf Freinstein on the front, the blue jersey. He's leading the criterium and the sprint competition here. So he hasn't got his team jersey on. It's the blue jersey as the sprint leader. And picking up points so far should see him take out that title. It's not what he's chasing, though. He wants second overall. So as the riders of the National Road Series make their way around for another intermediate sprint, have a look at where we are. This is the town of Portland, Portland Bay. It was the Victoria's first settlement. It's in the Shire of Glenelg, and James Grant, the skipper of the Lady Nelson, named Portland Bay in honour of the Duke of Portland. Great for fishing, a lot of whale watching happening here at the right time of year, and there's a big timber and aluminium industry. So the port here at Portland's very crucial to the Victorian economy. And while the weather this week hasn't been fantastic, when the sun does come out, it really is a beautiful part of Victoria. The final stage of the Tour of the Great South Coast, thanks to Campolina and Visit Victoria in the town of Portland, Victoria's first settlement. And so far, all of the riders getting around turn 2 successfully. If they go too wide, then you can see the tram tracks on the outside as well. Wet tram tracks are a cyclist, certainly not a cyclist's best friend. Next intermediate sprint just about to happen. It'll be mopped up by the small group off the front. 5 riders away now. Oliver's Real Food leading through. Tasman Curvis, second around the corner there. Prominent rider on the mountain bike scene in Australia. Just been following Taz's brother Russ, bike packing through Europe throughout the year. Seemed to have had a fantastic time tripping around. So none of the main contenders picking up the points. All the time bonuses on offer that time through. And it's the Australian Cycling Academy now on the front trying to close this one down. They know they have a real contender, or a couple of real contenders for the stage victory. Sam Welsford and Cam Scott. 2 riders that are certainly capable of sprinting to victory here. Update on the sprint points from last time through. Liam White ahead of Zach Gilmore and Tasman Curvis in 3rd place. Great to see Zach Gilmore in the National Road Series. Father Matthew, regular 6-day Madison partner of mine and silver medalist at the Olympic Games in 2000, riding for Belgium. It's a long story we won't get into, but great to see Zach, after battling a couple of years of serious injury, back in the National Road Series and riding well in the breakaway group. Liam White, Zach Gilmore, Tasman Curvis, 1st, 2nd and 3rd on that last intermediate sprint. Well, so far, Bennelong Swiss Wellness haven't been under too much pressure whatsoever. Tuvey with a 39-second overall lead coming into this final stage. The 22-year-olds won the Battle Recharge last time out, round 2. This is round 3 of Cycling Australia's National Road Series. And Tuvey from Mudgee in New South Wales. He's ridden 11 UCI races this year in support of Steele von Hoff, his teammate, the Commonwealth Games road race champion. So he's been doing a great job throughout the season. Second in the 2016 Melbourne to Warrnambool. He was 3rd in last year's Grafton to Inverell. So the youngster really is starting to develop into a fantastic rider. So the breakaway group just starting to get nice and established now out in front. Chase is still on, being led by the Australian Cycling Academy out of the Sunshine Coast. New outfit put together by Ben Kirsten in collaboration with the university up on the Sunshine Coast, just out at Noosa. And they have done a great deal with Tim Decker and the National Cycling Program, our Australian national team, to get several of our Team Pursuit riders, Sam Welsford, Kell O'Brien, Cam Scott, Lee Howard, all riders that are in the mix there with the ACA. So great to see a team like ACA working closely with Cycling Australia and our national cycling team. Down the back straight one more time and successfully through turn 2. The trickiest of the corners. There are a couple of chicanes coming up towards the finish. There has been some crashes on the final lap here previously. It's the 7th time we've been to this race. The final stage here in Portland. First edition was won by Aidan Tuvey's teammate, Anthony Giacopo. That was back in 2012. The New Zealanders have done very well here. Of the 6 previous editions we've had, 3 times it's been won by Kiwis. Brad Evans last year, unfortunately the defending champ not here this time. Patrick Bevan and Sam Horgan, the 3 Kiwis. And another intermediate sprint, 3 seconds up for grabs. Being contested by the breakaway group. Liam White it is, he's picked up a couple now. But that doesn't change anything in the overall classification. We can see a bit of damage has been done. The chase from ACA has split the peloton to pieces. Kell O'Brien leads them through. You can see the carnage that's been caused by this. So a scramble from behind now. We'll see if any of the big contenders have been caught out, but Kell O'Brien absolutely driving the peloton to close the gap down to the breakaway. And that has split the peloton to pieces. And one of the Benelong Swiss Wellness guys out the back there as well. So Aidan Tuvey losing a little bit of support now. Halfway through now. 30 laps to start with, 48 kilometres. And the riders will come around and get 13 laps to go now. Brisbane Continental, Rabble.com team on the front, driving it down the back straight. Peloton has been split in half on that last lap. It's the AMR, the GPM Stultz riders now trying to bridge across. Cam Ivory, the Australian mountain bike champion, riding for the GPM Stultz team. Should like these conditions. So his teammate on the dirt. Looks like Nathan Elliott, the winner of the Melbourne to Warrnambool and the Grafton to Inverell. Well, the last 2 Melbourne to Warrnambool's and this year's Grafton to Inverell. Just having a little bit of trouble there. And just pick out, the rain has started to come down again. So it's been off and on all day. Just when it looks like the roads will dry out, the heavens open once more, just to keep it nice and slippery and treacherous. 13 laps to go. We started with 30, down to 13, and the peloton is also dwindling. Look at that split. The gap is really opening up now. I mentioned the past winners, 3 of them being New Zealanders. It is Michael Fink that's taken them through. Michael Fink, big Kiwi, loving the conditions. Anthony Giacoppo on the front of the second group. So Giacoppo previously would have been a rider that you would put some money on to go for victory in this final stage. It's not going to be the case today. The big Kiwi still on the front, down the back straight. He's been there for a couple of laps now, absolutely driving this. That's Tasnan Curvis just off the back. He's been fighting to get back in contention with that lead group. I spoke to him before the start. He was looking forward to these conditions, thought it was fantastic that it was wet, but struggling now, trying to get back in contention.
That's a big split.
We've had 6 of the 11 intermediate sprints, 3, 2 and 1, second bonuses on all of them, 10, 6 and 4 at the finish line as well. 39 seconds was Aidan Tuvey's lead coming into Raf Reinstein, 1 second further back to Nick White. Sam Welsford was 9 seconds further back, so 48 seconds from the overall lead. His teammate Cameron Scott was 11 seconds behind him, and there's another 3 seconds for Raf Reinstein. Nick White came through in third place to get 1 second, so there's another 2 seconds that Raf Reinstein has been able to get over Nick White to consolidate his second place overall. No desperation from Aiden Tuvey though. He knows he has a big enough buffer over Feinstein, so not getting too worried about the intermediate sprints. So another 3 seconds for Raphael Feinstein from Informed Make. Jared Drisners, the young South Australian, was across the line in second. And Nick White in the red jersey as the overall winner of the KOM competition here at the Tour of the Great South Coast in third. So we're getting close towards the end here, but we've got an opportunity to have a look at the highlights from stage 3.
The motorbike sitting behind Martin indicates that the chasers aren't closing it down.
Oliver Martin, as they came in towards the finish, just off the front, and it looked as if he was going to get it. It was a strong tailwind. They had 5 laps of the circuit. Race was blown apart because of the crosswinds, and then Ollie Martin, who picked up a stage win at the Battle Recharge, jumped away within the last 7 kilometres, got around the final corner, 2K to go, into the tailwind. It looked as if he was going to hold on, and they mowed him down 200 metres from the line. And the powerful Western Australian, the Commonwealth Games double gold medalist Sam Welsford, powered to the line to win the stage, just ahead of Nick White. And Aiden Tuvey, the overall race leader, was there for third. So disappointment for Ollie Martin, but it showed how good he is.
And lucky enough, I had the good legs to power the last 100 metres to get the win.
Not about the sprint today, really, was it? It was that 120.
And with the circuit, 5 laps, there was one straight in particular that was crosswinds, and it really did blow apart. The front of the race was split, it would come back, it would split, it would come back, and then finally it was down to 22 riders, the strongest in the National Road Series at this particular tour. And good to see the young sprinters in the mix. 22-year-old Sam Welsford, 20-year-old Nick White in second. So they can sprint, but they can also survive in the tough conditions when it gets really blustery. The rain keeps coming down here at Portland. And a couple of the AMR Renault riders just off the front now. So a group of 4 just getting clear. Tristan Ward trying to jump across from Benelong Swiss Wellness. He has a teammate out in front already. So testing conditions here, as it has been all week. Blustery, windy. Yesterday they had hail, had it all. And today, while the wind is up, it's a headwind sprint, so you really need to time your effort perfectly for the final sprint to the line. But just the on-again, off-again rain situation, just to keep the roads nice and wet and slippery. Been quite challenging today. So AMR Renault around the corner, into the back straight once more. Handy group of 4 trying to bridge across to the lead group. Plenty of teams represented in that split in the second group. Desperate to try and get back up into contention. Raf Reinstein, he's shown on day 1 in the wet conditions at Mount Gambier in the criterium that he likes these conditions. He's a great bike handler, doesn't mind the wet roads. And he's put himself in the mix in most of these intermediate sprints. Whenever there's been an opportunity to pick up some time bonuses, Raf Reinstein has really been there to capitalise. White flag's out for another intermediate. And we can see Feinstein in the blue right across the line there. He had Nick White there also. Cameron Scott and Drisners. So the main contenders right in the mix there, very close between them all. So Raf Feinstein picking up another 3 points just ahead of Drisners and Nick White. It was Cam Scott that missed out, put in all the effort to come away with no bonuses at all. The Australian under-23 criterium champion would have been, on paper, one of the contenders for the final sprint here today in this final stage. Cam Scott missing out. So another 3-second bonuses for Raf Feinstein. Gives himself, again, a handy buffer back to Nick White, who was only 1 second behind him coming into the criterium. But that gap has started to open up a little bit now. The extra sprint bonuses that Feinstein has been able to pick up. So the current National Road Series leader in Raphael Feinstein picking up another of the intermediate sprints to consolidate his second place overall. He's still going to have to keep up the effort though, with a couple more sprints to come. But if Feinstein is to hold on to the National Road Series overall series lead, he has to win this criterium. Aidan Tuvey is on his way to winning the Tour overall, barring an accident. So Feinstein has to win the stage to hold on to the overall race lead. In the pre-race interview, he did say if he does lose the jersey today, there are plenty more races to come, that he'll try and do what he can to get back into the overall race lead. The Sam Miranda Tour of the King Valley is the next one up in the National Road Series. And that was the overall standings coming in. Has changed slightly with these time bonus sprints, but it's still sitting in that formation. Tuvey, Feinstein, White and Welsford are the top four still. And 10, 6 and 4 seconds on offer. And the final sprint, there's a couple more intermediates still to come. Good to see a few new names up there in the overall classification of the National Road Series as well. Tuvey we have seen a few times in the past. Feinstein's been in Australia since 2014 racing the NRS. But Nick White from Oliver's Real Food Racing. Great to see the 20-year-olds. Had a couple of great rides in Belgium this year. We can have a quick look back at stage 4 now. It was another circuit race, 30-kilometre circuit. So the wasn't a circuit, this is the one to Casterton. So Haywood to Casterton, 93-kilometre road race. And this is the hilliest of the stages. Crosswinds didn't play much of a role, but it was the hills that certainly did. And Jason Thomason was just up the road to pick up the maiden victory for Van Dam Racing. His first win in the National Road Series and his team's first win in the National Road Series. So Jason Thomason picking up a fantastic victory. Sam Hill from Phoenix Racing just in second place. Popped over the top of Patrick Burt from Drapac EF Cannondale to pick up second on the stage to Hill, third to Burt. But it was a great victory from another team that's been around in the National Road Series for a few years, but they haven't won one of the stages. Back to live pictures here in Portland. It looks like the big figure of Kellen O'Brien coming through. It's his first race back after a couple of months of being sick and injured. He's loving the conditions though, 19-year-old. Bendigo Madison winner this year. Great on the track, Commonwealth champion, world record holder in the team pursuit. And a couple of gold medals at the World Championships as a junior as well. Liam White picks up another 3-second bonus. Michael Freeberg, the winner of stage 1 from Benelong Swiss Wellness, pops across in second. 2-second bonus for him. And Kell O'Brien pops across first place, bridges across to the leaders now. So a very handy group of 3 off the front. Inform Make have just jumped around the peloton to try and bridge across as well. But with the peloton being whittled down so much, You have to wonder who's strong enough to close these gaps down now. Wouldn't expect Freeberg to do anything. His teammate, Aiden Tuvey, leading the overall classification. And the second group on the road now. Gap starting to open up even more. You can see the impetus really going out of that chase group. This is the lead group now. Liam White leading them rounds. Michael Freeberg, second position. And you've got the ACA riders lined up behind that. Lone Drat Pack rider now, in between the two groups, trying to come across. But gee, what an effort, what a performance it would be if he could get across to the lead group now. Some more moves though off the front as they go down the back straight. Along the Esplanade. Scenic Portland Bay. Drapac, EF Education, powered by Cannondale, just off the front. Inform Mate coming across as well. Benelong Swiss Wellness still in control of the peloton. You can see third position there in the overall race leaders jersey. It's not the yellow jersey that we've come and gotten used to. It's the white and black jersey for the Tour of the Great South Coast as the overall race leader in Aiden Tuvey. There's two teammates there on the front of the peloton to control things. That's the youngster coming through. Carter Turnbull, number 5. It's only 18, riding for Inform Mate. And Zach Gilmore jumping out of the peloton to try and bridge across to the two riders out in front now as well. So this is the second group on the road. They're out of contention. You can see how much the gap is opening up now. So the testing conditions making it very difficult for the riders finish off the final stage here of the Tour of the Great South Coast, thanks to Campolina and Visit Victoria. We started in South Australia, of course, 2 stages on day 1 in Mount Gambier. Criterium that was won by Michael Freeberg from Benelong Swiss Wellness. And then that team backed up the afternoon stage around Blue Lake with Aiden Tuvey picking up the victory, going into the overall race lead. And he's been able to hold on to that right through to the very end. 3 stages in South Australia, then we crossed the border. Went to Haywood to Casterton for the road stage. I saw some new names pop up there. Ben, the Van Dam Racing team, coming away with the victory with Jason Thomason. These are the riders trying to bridge across to the lead group. A huge task to try and move across. So 2 riders out in front. That's Zach Gilmore in second position trying to come across. And a bit of a scramble back in the main field as well. So the chase is on. Gilmore just about to get caught now. There he is, the youngster, Zach Gilmore from Tasmania. South Australian Sports Institute, Cam Scott. So Drisners and Cam Scott, the next 2 riders on the road, just around the corner, getting onto the back wheel of Zach Gilmore. And then the Benelong Swiss Wellness peloton right behind them. So the 3 big guns in Aiden Tuvey, Raphael Feinstein and Nick White. First, second and third in the overall classification, still tucked away in that lead group. Well, peloton really under pressure now. The gaps are starting to open up. The move from Cameron Scott to bridge across to Zach Gilmore really has put a bit of pressure on the main field. Drisner's now moves across to the 2 leaders, but there is still that scramble from behind. Gaps are opening up though, really a lot of pressure as they go down the back straight here in Portland. Inside the final 10 laps now. The big Western Australian, Sam Welsford, still in that lead group. Pre-race favourite for this particular stage with his sprinting ability. He won stage 3, Port MacDonald in a sprint finish. Got outpowered though on stage 1. Michael Freeberg, the Bennelong Swiss Wellness team, really did a great job of setting their riders up to finish first and second with Tristan Ward on stage 1. And it looked like Nick Simpson from AMR Renault, first around the corner there. So good to see Nick Simpson and Julian Thompson. 2 of the guys in my regular training, well, when I'm regularly training, which isn't much these days, but in Bendigo, the 2 boys, they're out training regularly. I'm not, but when I am out, they're typically in the bunch. And there's Nick Simpson on the front now from AMR Renault. Really starting to develop those boys. It's great to see them in the mix here. So Nick Simpson leads them through the first corner. Kel O'Brien still in the mix. Cam Scott and Sam Welsford. Well, the one result we know is locked in is the King of the Mountains competition. So Nick White, the 20-year-old, came away with the overall victory there on 21 points, ahead of Aidan Tuvey on 19. And those points also match the second bonuses that they picked up as well. So there were 21 seconds in bonuses that Nick White was able to pick up going for all those KOM sprints throughout the tour. And Aidan Tuvey, 19 seconds that he was able to pick up as well. So many sprints on offer in this particular race. 46 sprints throughout the week for 3, 2 and 1 seconds, and there were 20 hill climbs as well. Different categories as well. Some of those had 5-second bonuses for the win. They'll be coming around to get 4 laps to go now. 4 laps to go for the riders when they come through the finish line. And Mobius, Bridge Lane on the attack. They've had a depleted field here because the other half of the team has been in America racing the Tour of Utah. So they've come with limited numbers, trying to get something out of this tour. So 4 laps to go now. 1.6 kilometre circuit. And the sprint behind, Freienstein in the mix again. So Raphael Freienstein picking up 2 seconds there for the second place. Cameron Scott and Nick White in the mix for 3rd and 4th across the line. So fighting right to the very end, Raph Freienstein and Nick White. There was only 1 second separating them at the start of the stage. It has opened up a little bit now. Freienstein being a little bit more dominant in these sprints compared to Nick White, but still 10 seconds up for grabs for the stage win. So confirmation of that last sprint. It was Ben Metcalf from Mobius Bridge Lane that came across just ahead of the boys to pick up the 3 seconds. Freienstein in second, Cameron Scott in first, and no prize whatsoever for Nick White. So he missed out completely. Put in all the effort, came away with no bonuses at all. So another 2-second handy gap for Raph Freienstein over Nick White. But the effort that they're putting in for all these intermediate sprints, it has to be a bit of a test for them towards the end when they're trying to line up for that final sprint after all these sprints throughout the stage. Sam Welsford did pick up one intermediate earlier on. Since then, he's just had himself tucked in the peloton, saving energy for this final sprint to the line. Surely he is the favourite to take this final stage. Still Metcalf off the front, Mobius Bridge Lane rider. As I said, they came with a limited number of riders. The rest of the team overseas. So putting in a good effort here in this final stage to get something out of this race for Mobius Bridge Lane. Coming up to the last corner, it'll be 3 laps to go for Ben Metcalf. The chase is on though, Benelong Swiss Wellness. They don't have to bring him back. If they want the stage win, they do. But in terms of the overall classification, it's not going to mean anything. Metcalf is in 13th place at 1 minute and 14 seconds. So they can just control it. They don't have to bring Metcalf back. We'll see what the tactics of Benelong Swiss Wellness are now with one rider from Mobius Bridge Lane off the front. I think the pace of the peloton is slightly off under the control of Benelong Swiss Wellness, because that has allowed the Drapac EF Education rider to pop off the front now, trying to get across to Metcalf. That's Tom Keisler from South Australia, the big South Australian, good time troller. He's just dropped off the front. So if he's able to bridge across as quickly as he has, it means the Benelong Swiss Wellness team aren't fully in chase mode just yet. 3 laps to go. Peloton led by Benelong Swiss Wellness. Aidan Tuvey, the race leader, comfortably sitting behind his 2 teammates. And we've got Keisler and Metcalf off the front of the peloton. See, the roads have dried out somewhat now, but still wet, patchy conditions here. Metcalf out wide across the white line, still a bit damp on the outside of the corner. Here comes Keisler, even wider, trying to carry some speed out of that corner into the back straight. Now 3 riders from Benelong Swiss Wellness sitting on the front with their overall race leader, Aidan Tuvey, sitting in 4th position. It's the Campolina Visit Victoria Tour of the Great South Coast. It's the 7th edition. The first one taken out by Anthony Giacoppo. Last year's winner was Brad Evans from New Zealand, riding for the Drapac EF Education team. Not here this year, unfortunately, Brad Evans, to defend his title. And Keisler still struggling to get across to Metcalf. Ben Metcalf really putting in a strong ride here. When Keisler jumped out of the field, it looked as if he was just going to bridge straight across, but Metcalf really keeping a good tempo. Tim Rowe, South Australian, former BMC racing rider, hops around the final corner. They'll come up to get 2 laps to go now. There's no more intermediate sprints. It's all about the final stage sprint now. 10, 6 and 4 seconds up for grabs, and you can see the chase from Benelong Swiss Wellness. The pace really has popped up now. Scott Bowden, it was Scott Bowden, the mountain biker, or former mountain biker, unless he wants to get back on the dirt at some stage, but you could see the head shake from Scott Bowden, absolutely driving it into the first turn. His teammates were yelling out to him a little bit too hard. It was a bit too hot for them. But the effort from Bowden has completely shut that breakaway down. So it's about to be all back together with about 1 lap and 3/4 to go here. The final stage, stage 6 of the Tour of the Great South Coast. It's all part of Cycling Australia's National Road Series. Round 3, we still have the Sam Miranda Tour of the King Valley to come at the end of August. And then Amy's Otway Tour, the Tour of Gippsland, the Tour of Tasmania, and it all finishes up on the 24th of November with the Giro della Donna. Into the trickiest corner of the circuit for the penultimate time. Scotty Bowden, a Tasmanian, out of the saddle, driving it, trying to keep this pace high, trying to neutralise the attacks now on this last lap and a half. The track specialists, Sam Welsford, Cam Scott and Kellen O'Brien, still in this lead group. Welsford and O'Brien, world record holders in the team pursuit. Commonwealth Games champions. And Sam Welsford won the scratch race gold medal at the Commonwealth Games this year as well. An incredible performance from him to close down England's Ethan Hayter in the last 2 laps of the race. And it looks like maybe Carter Turnbull once more, in-form make on the attack. Pace just went off when things came back together. Aidan Tuvey just trying to close it down, the overall race leader, trying to close things down. Raphael Freinstein on Tuvey's wheel around the corner. Coming up to the bell now, 1 lap to go. 1.6 kilometres remain in the Tour of the Great South Coast. In-form make on the attack. Just under 2Ks. Can he hold on the effort? It's Aidan Tuvey, the overall race leader, trying to consolidate. The youngster, 18-year-old Carter Turnbull, what a performance from him. He's been very animated all this week. Still a teenager and on the attack on the final stage here in Portland. Tuvey doesn't need to bring him back. He just wants to stay safe, put himself up in the mix. So Turnbull from in-form make, trying to hold on. You can see just on the left of the screen there. Aidan Tuvey chasing things down. Benelong Swiss Wellness team taken a little bit by surprise by the attack of the youngster. Big performance from Carter Turnbull. Raf Freinstein needs to win this stage to retain the National Road Series lead, second or worse, and the overall lead will go to Aidan Tuvey. Inside the final 3 kilometres now, so in terms of the overall classification, Tuvey will come out the overall winner of the Tour of the Great South Coast. But will he pull on the National Road Series leader's jersey? Odds are against Freinstein retaining the jersey, with the likes of Sam Welsford, Cam Scott, the big powerful sprinters here coming towards the finish. Be a big ask for Raphael Freinstein to win the stage and therefore retain the NRS leader's jersey. Turnbull still off the front though, half a lap to go. One of the ACA riders now just coming across, and that's it for Turnbull. It was a big performance. He lasted 1 lap off the front, but the youngster, the 18-year-old, he'll be back. We'll see him. He's going to be a star of the future, Carter Turnbull. Here's Kell O'Brien, Commonwealth champion. Michael Freeberg fighting for position in that last corner. So Kell O'Brien first around the corner. We saw Michael Freeberg in the mix as well. Welsford's a bit further back. Flying up towards the finish. And there's Raphael Freinstein. It is Raf Freinstein over the top. Raphael Freinstein wins the final stage and therefore retains the National Road Series lead. What a performance. He was so prominent throughout the race in all of the intermediate sprints and still had something left to go for the stage win as well. Aidan Tuvey will come out the overall winner of the Tour of the Great South Coast. His buffer coming in was such that that wasn't in threat. But what a ride. Raphael Freinstein from in-form to win the stage, retain second in the Tour and hold on to the overall National Road Series lead. Well, brilliant ride by Raf, the German import, the 27-year-old. Won the German Hill Climb Championship last year, so he gets up a hill okay. But wow, what a sprint finish. Kell O'Brien in the middle from ACA trying to come through, and then Raf Freinstein over the top. He'd spent so much energy throughout the race going for sprint bonuses and yet was still able to get up for the final stage win. What a brilliant performance from Raphael Freinstein. So Anthony Giacoppo popped across in second place, just ahead of Kellen O'Brien. So Raf Freinstein takes out stage 6, the final stage of the Tour of the Great South Coast, ahead of Anthony Giacoppo from Benelong Swiss Wellness and Kell O'Brien from the Australian Cycling Academy in third place. Sam Welsford, his teammate, came across in fourth, and Nick White, third overall in the Tour, he came across in fifth place. 24 bonus seconds were picked up by Raf Freinstein throughout that particular criterium. Not enough to get the better of Aidan Tuvey in the overall win, but still a fantastic performance, a dominant performance from in-form makes Raf Freinstein. Well, I was saying it, Raf, throughout the race, I was saying you're going for all these intermediate sprints. Surely you're not going to have what's needed for that final sprint to retain the overall NRS lead. But you did. You won the stage. That was an incredible performance.
Yeah, I was a bit concerned because all the intermediates was really hard going head-to-head with Nick White, and then I thought, oh, Sam Welsford, he's sitting back. He's obviously the fastest, winning 2 stages, but criteriums are a little bit different than road races, and I've won here 4 years ago, and with a headwind here, it was even possible to launch my sprint from the 3rd wheel, and yeah, I'm just really happy to come home with a stage win for Team Inform Make, and I think we deserved the win. Rode really active, how we said we were going to do it, and Carter, our junior rider, he was off the front a lot and just took the pressure off of me, made the other teams chase, and yeah, it's unbelievable to get a stage win.
Well, I was saying in commentary as well that all the effort you were putting in the intermediate sprints, surely Sam Welsford's going to come away and win the stage. So we were both wrong, but to your benefit, so fantastic for the stage win. Young Carter Turnbull, 18, attacking off the front of the final stage of the Tour of the Great South Coast. He's a name for the future. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've been talking about other names who won here in the previous years. So yeah, I think we try to encourage the young guys, saying, go have a crack, they train hard, and don't sit back and get pushed back by maybe older riders. So we always try to encourage them to go up the front, and yeah, Carter did a superb job, and he's going to represent Australia at the Worlds in September. So yeah, he probably has a bright future ahead. Absolutely. Just the conditions today, with just how wet it was, and it was drying out, then it was wet again. I know that you don't mind those sorts of conditions because you're a skillful type of rider, but how dangerous was it out there? I think it wasn't as bad as the years before, because I think they got rid of the train tracks. So I didn't see any crashes. We went all quite slow through that hairpin. So yeah, I think we all got through the crit fine, and it's a nice race here, and hopefully we can come back next year. Just talk us through the sprint itself. We saw Kellen O'Brien hit out early. Michael Freeberg also it was a real drag race into that final corner. But you mentioned the headwind. It's a long way from the final corner when it's a headwind. What were you thinking approaching that final corner? And just take us through the sprint. Yeah, Carter was off the front till I think 300 meters to go. So Benelong had to chase and didn't have the clear run how they used to have it, and that hole mixed it up a bit, and I could I had a good wheel on Gio Coppo's wheel, 3rd wheel I think, going around the corner, and yeah, the headwind was just really brutal, so I could do a sneaky sprint and yeah, rolled them in the last 10 meters. Sneaky or not, it doesn't matter as long as you get the win, right? Yeah, exactly. Well, Raphael Feinstein taking out the final stage, stage 6 here of the Campolina Visit Victoria Tour of the Great South Coast, to hold on to 2nd overall and to retain the National Road Series lead from Aidan Tuvey, who of course won the Tour overall. So I guess you get to hold on to the National Road Series lead, which is also a bonus. I think I lost it. Oh, it was top. Well, we'll wait for a confirmation, but my understanding was you were coming into this particular on same points as Aidan Tuvey, and you had to win this to retain the lead. So it depends on, I guess, where Tuvey finished in that final sprint, but I think he was further back. Well, because he wins the Tour, that gives him another 50 points, so I think that's put him just with 20 points ahead of me. All right, well, we'll wait for confirmation on that one. I'm going by what the official timing guy said, so look, I might be wrong. I hope you're wrong and you are still in the lead, but yeah, we'll wait and see. Nice. Yeah. So what about the next race, the Tour of the King Valley? Sam ran a Tour of the King Valley. It's coming up. Dirt roads up in the King Valley in Victoria. That's one you're looking forward to? Yeah, it should be a good one. Strada Nero through the dirt roads, and I think a different format with a short and sharp prologue on the Friday. So hopefully I get through the next 2 weeks fine. We had rough conditions here, and everyone needs to rest up a bit, but then hopefully with some fresh legs, and we bring in some fresh riders as well. So we got 2 other junior riders from our development team, Inform Team Insight, so they will have their first NRS debut. So yeah. That should be fun. It should be fun. So look, well done for you for having such a great race this week, and then finishing off the way everybody would love to with the stage win. So well done to you. Thank you very much. Well, we can have just recap the stage results here, the final stage of the Tour of the Great South Coast, with Raphael Feinstein coming out with the stage win. So brilliant victory for him, ahead of Anthony Giacoppo, who won the Tour overall, the first edition back in 2014, and Kellen O'Brien from the ACA Academy team coming away 3rd. Big fight into the final corner, but Raph Feinstein tucked away in the headwind, popping over the top right at the very end to come away with a great stage victory to finish second overall. And we see Sam Welsford, the rider that we all thought may have come away with this final stage win, coming across in fourth in the end. Nick White, great performance to be third in the Tour and finishing fifth on the final stage. And the mountain bike Australian champion Cameron Ivory sprinting well for sixth on the stage as well. Drisner's the youngster from South Australia, seventh. Liam White was in the mix as well. So brilliant performance there from all of the riders. And here we see Anthony Giacopo, the first one to go out of the corner. Kellen O'Brien trying to match it with him. Giacopo just outpowering Kel O'Brien, the youngster, the 19-year-old from Victoria, as they came to the line. And then popping out of the slipstream was the German sprinter, 27-year-old Raphael Freinstein, coming over the top to get the stage win. Well, the tour's all wrapped up. Most aggressive rider, and let's clarify, most aggressive wasn't mean you were out there swinging punches at anyone. It was just because you were very active in all the stages. But Sam Hill, great ride by you.
Thank you, yeah, appreciate it. It was a great tour and the legs were feeling really good, so glad I could get a jersey.
2 second places on stages, so you're still chasing that NRS stage win. Can we get it at Sam Miranda maybe?
Yeah, it's certainly a possibility. I know there's a few stages there that can suit me. It's quite hilly and I prefer the hill, so yeah, definitely a possibility. Be looking for the stage win.
Yep. In terms of the team, Phoenix Cycling Collective, tell us a little bit about that and exactly what that's all about.
So Phoenix established in 2014, I believe, and they're a Canberra-based team. They're really about promoting young riders, getting them into the NRS and giving them a chance. So yeah, I joined them in 2017 and yeah, no, they've been developing really well.
Now, your style that you showed this week was all about climbing. You like to go up the hills and be really aggressive. What about the crosswinds though? Because stage 3 is something that you weren't too happy about. You lost a bit of time on stage 3. What can you do in the future perhaps to work on that crosswinding and the echelon type of riding?
I need to be towards the front of the peloton, yeah, no, that's something that I'm working on. And this tour's given me a lot of confidence. I've learned a lot of skills in the peloton, so I'll be taking these skills to King Valley with me because I know there'll be some crosswind stages there as well.
Yeah, something to look forward to. Sam Hill, most aggressive here at the Tour of the Great South Coast. Great performance and great to see other teams in the mix as well. Van Dam Racing, Phoenix, Nero, KOM Financial. It's not just all about the leading teams in Benelong Swiss Wellness and Inform Make, etc. All the other teams having a mix, which really makes it great for the NRS.
Yeah, that's right. No, we like to, you know, stick it to the big teams every now and then. No, yeah, it's really satisfying to be up there, you know, mixing it up with the best.
Absolutely. Well done. Most aggressive here at the Tour of the Great South Coast, Sam Hill. We'll have a look at the overall classification in the end. And, of course, Aidan Tuvey, after stage 2, winning stage 2, he was up the front on that particular stage with Sam Hill. Came away just ahead of the main field and coming across the end. It did close down quite a bit with all the sprint bonuses that Raf Freinstein went for, but he had enough in the end to win by 16 seconds over the 27-year-old German. Nick White, who started 1 second behind second place, finished at 34 seconds, so lost a little bit of time in those intermediate sprints and then the bonuses at the end. And fourth place, Sam Welsford, 46 seconds down. His teammate Cameron Scott at 54. So you can see the spread. So many riders with so many time bonuses throughout the tour. And a little special mention there down in 10th place, Ben Metcalf, who went on the attack here on this final stage. Great ride for him on the final stage and a good result overall to finish 10th in the tour overall. So well done to Aidan Tuvey. Overall winner, 11 hours and 48 minutes. But he's done enough by 16 seconds to get the win over Raphael Freinstein and 34 seconds back to Nick White.
So look at the camera. Look at Scott. He's trying to get away. We're going to wrap it up with this. So we'll do this.
Well, a great final stage win there from Raphael Freinstein and Aidan Tuvey, of course, winning the tour overall. But for the 20-year-old Nick White from Ballarat, I tell you what, this has been a breakthrough tour for you.
Yeah, no, this has been a great tour. I'm really happy with how it went. I was a bit worried about whether I'd hold on to a podium in the end there, but managed to pick up a few points along the way and hold on to the podium, which is good, and just couldn't get over Raf.
Well, you come into this final tour 1 second behind Raf in third place, and then in the end it blew out a little bit because he was so active in those final sprints. But you would have been confident coming in, thinking you might be able to get second.
Yeah, no, I thought I'd be able to maybe manage second place. I'd beaten Raf in a few sprints out on the road in the road races, so I knew it'd be tight, but just couldn't get over him coming out of that corner. But yeah, no, still very pleased with the podium overall and keen for the rest of the NRS.
Well, Nick White from Oliver's Real Food Racing, third place here at the Tour of the Great South Coast, thanks to Campolina and Visit Victoria, but really a confidence booster for him as we go through the rest of the National Road Series. I'm expecting big things when we get to Sam Miranda Tour of the King Valley, the next race.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to King Valley. I love that dirt climb and the dirt sections. It really mixes things up. It's a bit of a different tour, so yeah, should be good fun and looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, Nick White there, third place here at the Tour of the Great South Coast. Of course, it was taken out by Aidan Tuvey from Benelong Swiss Wellness. Really dominant performance by him, going back-to-back after winning the second round, the Battle Recharge in the Tweed Valley, and then backing that up with the win here at the Tour of the Great South Coast in South Australia and finishing here in Portland. So Benelong Swiss Wellness will increase their lead in the overall classification of the National Road Series in the teams, and of course Aidan Tuvey now, well, final confirmation between him and Raf Reinstein, who is the actual overall individual leader of the National Road Series. That's all from the Tour of the Great South Coast. The next one is the Sam Miranda Tour of the King Valley. We look forward to bringing you to all the action from that one.